Welcome back to Zero to Fuel Tycoon, in which I'm going from zero risk into becoming a known entity for fuel production in EVE Online. And for our corporation, as you can see, it's a slow, steady growth. We recently made a sale of 2 billion, which we did down in Amar. But maybe most importantly, we also did our first sale up in Caldari space. The line is trending upward, and we get this pattern because of the way we're currently making money is big sales through contracts. And for my character, it's a similar trajectory, slowly increasing in net worth over time. I have been redesigning my trading strategy a little bit. I'm starting to dabble a bit in ores and higher volume items. Not the most popular ones, but ones to trade for a little bit less. And this is so that I can leave it for a week and maybe still make the sales. Previously, I had been more into items, which would require me to update the orders more frequently. So this week we have done two big sales. The one up in Caldari space was around 800 million, and the one down in Amar for about 2 billion. So all in all, it's been a very good week in terms of sales. We've reinvested most of the money into projects for our members. But one thing where it's been an even better week is for the recruitment. We've been doing really well this week, and the applications have just been flooding in. And we're now up to 39 members in total. We've had Loner 1 and Avstar joining, two newer players. We have Phantom Helix 324, which is an alt. We have Ivan and Ichabod, who are alts of my director. We have Emperor Asheron joining, together with his friend, Jay Cardera. We also have Erten Haukali, Spudgun, Ealias. And finally, we have Munsund joining with his 3 alts. And this is another significant recruitment because this is another Caldari member. But this brings Ardco up to 4th place in the Planetary Alliance in terms of numbers. So right now we are the biggest of the smaller corporations, but I'd like us to grow even further. So I was asked by some of the members if we could have some ranks and a bit of hierarchy. So I've been at work all throughout the week creating a sort of a blueprint that we can use. And the hierarchy consists of 5 levels. We have the operator level, who are supported by supervisors, who in turn are supported by managers, who are directed by a director. And then we have the executive level, which would be me as the CEO, and my current director, Thor, which I will be rebranding into vice president. And us two, we complement each other quite well, where Thor handles a lot of the back-end stuff, all the systems behind, everything under the surface, and I handle the front end, being the face outwards. Within this dotted line here is essentially what I'm envisioning for one region to consist of. The most important part would be the operators, and especially the refiners, who are the sort of engine of the entire corporation. So apart from the executive level, the refiner and the mining foreman are the ranks that we have filled so far. The refiners are the people mining, doing the PI, and doing the production of the fuel blocks. The mining foreman acts as sort of officers and will be handling the mining operations, and generally as a support for new players and sort of focal points in the belts. And further down the line, they will be supported by a head of production, who will direct the production and sort of point it in a direction. What kind of fuel blocks do we need? What needs to be done? And of course, act as a support for the mining foremen and the refiners. Within the region, we will also have distribution. That will be the haulers, supported by a hauling foreman in a similar vein to the mining foreman. They will be delivering from our distribution hubs out to customers in the regions. And again, we'll have a head of distribution that will help direct this. For the dedicated manufacturing part, we will have the mechanics supported by engineers, who in turn are supported by the head of manufacturing. These people will be the ones constructing the equipment that we will be using within the corporation. I have a feeling that this part can be greatly expanded, and this is where essentially the research, the reactions, the building of other stuff. So I'm feeling that this department has a big chance to be much bigger than it's shown on this flowchart. If we look at the far end, I've also included sort of not a military, but more of a police force, where we have cadets supported by sergeants, who in turn supported by lieutenant. And my intention for this department would be as a sort of regional defense, sort of gank defense, and doing a lot of work on belts. I've also included this department here with the head of sales, the advertiser, and the recruiter. The recruiter, of course, will be handling recruitment efforts, finding new people for the corporation, helping them settle into one of the departments, and keeping the recruitment adverts up to date. The advertiser will do a similar job, but this is more towards sales. And this will be advertising in market channels, putting up mobile depots, and the goal here is more to make Ardco more visible in New Eden. And the head of sales will, of course, handle the communication with customers. All of these different departments will be supervised by the head of operations, and this will be on a regional basis. Outside of the regional departments, we have currently 2 more departments. We have the cargo department, which will handle distribution between the regions. And here we'll have the tanker supported by the cargo supervisor, who in turn will be supported by a head of cargo operations. And in a similar vein, we have more of a military branch with the Spec Ops operator, squad leaders, chief of operations, and task force commanders. These will come into play once we have our own structures and we need more structured defense and where a bit more force is required. And these 2 sort of head of operations are placed at the same level as the head of operations of the region, so that we have a similar sort of rank between them. And for the haulers and the cadets, the transitioning into becoming a tanker and the Spec Ops is a sort of a natural trajectory to follow. Will likely take many of the recruits from within the different regions. But so, what have our refiners been up to in the last week? Here we have the fuel block stockpiles in the forge from last week. And the 3 people we have up in the forge are all seasoned players, and they can really crank out fuel blocks at a high rate, much higher than I can sell them at the moment. So our nitrogen stocks are up to 65,000. We have a couple of projects right now, so all of these will rise by about 10,000 in the coming days. So it's really on me to find customers now. And it's really a similar story down in Amar. Here we have last week's stockpiles, and in just a few days we have produced 100k fuel blocks, which we did sell. So our production capabilities are really coming along nicely. And again, finding more customers is becoming more and more of a sticking point. These were the weekly goals we had for this week. We wanted to have the first mining ops, we wanted to do recruitment, especially up in Caldari, and more customers. I'd say that we finished the first 2. We've had our 2 mining ops, and they went well. The recruitment has been going really well, maybe not so much in Caldari, but overall, yes. Customers, though, has been... I haven't really had time to do much actively, but it's something to rectify for next week. So we had the 2 mining ops, and on both occasions we had porpoises on the belt, and on both occasions we got ganked. Luckily for us, the ganks weren't more than 1 ship at a time, and I think it was more to... the first time it was more to provoke Womp into a fight. I got tackled, but it was a rifter and I was in a beefy procurer, so it wasn't really that dangerous. And the second one, I think, was more related to the fighting that was going on in Quarius at the time. And it was nothing that our drones couldn't handle. But it was good fun, and I think a valuable experience, and it's nice to sit and have a chat with people. The second day it was so much recruitment, so I had a bit hard time to be too involved in the mining. But overall, I think it was a good experience, and maybe soon enough we'll dare to have the Orcus on the belt. So for the first mining up, Codip was the porpoise pilot, and after that I promoted him to a mining foreman. I'll be looking to add some more into Amar, but for now Codip will be helping us out. I have also promoted our 3 Caldari members, Marlboro Cowboy, Phantom, and Monsund. Since they all are seasoned players, they all have the equipment, and they all know the area well, and will be able to provide a good foundation for new players. So I promoted all of them as well. And the Caldari setup is a bit different to what we have down in Amar. Because we have the high-sec ice belts, it becomes a bit about knowing when they respawn. So we need to keep track of when they despawn, and then you have about a 5-6 hour window when they should be respawning. So a big part of the operations in high-sec will be to keep track of this and have people report it in and keep it up to date on the Discord. The nature of PvP up in high-sec is also a bit different. because almost every high-sec ice belt has one of these sort of whales with a big orca multi-boxing with other characters, hoovering up the ice belts in 1-2 hours. You could, of course, just gank them directly, but there's also the art of bumping. So I'm thinking a bit about, especially for Caldari and when we open up other high-sec branches, that the cadets can also form sort of a bumper squadron where we can bump people off who don't want to play nicely. And I think this could even be done by alpha characters getting into, I think it's stabbers, the Minimatage cruisers. This is something newer players can help out with. This week I also caved in and put a 1% tax rate in the corp. Liquidity has been a big sticking point hindering our expansion, so I put in a 1% tax rate. It's not huge amounts of money, but over time it will add up, and especially the more people we get into the corporation. We did an internal vote about this because I wanted to check with the members, and it was pretty much overwhelmingly, yeah, don't worry about it. We've also had a major project by Raster Idiot, who has been traveling around New Eden, putting up bookmarks for us, sort of on docs and Instadocs. So we have that in all our offices and the major trade ups now. I also had Marble Cowboy and Warlord Dagon creating some corporation fits and skill plans, both for mining, PI, and for more PV content. And these have been cross-referenced with what WOMP is flying, so people can make an easy transition into more PvP content as well. I've also begun dabbling a bit with the PI now that I have 3 characters. My goal with PI now is to provide enriched uranium at 90% Jita cell that the members can buy, and the money will go directly to Ardco. So I had these 3 characters, and my 2 alts will be doing just resource harvesting. For the materials I need, I'm envisioning that I need these types of planets, the Plasma, Barren, and Lava. We only have 1 Plasma planet in the high-sec area. There's 1 out in null-sec, but I can barely fly out there with my laptop, so I don't want to risk it. But the materials I need are noble metals from the Plasma and the Barren planets and the heavy metals from the Lava planet. And I'm thinking of setting up this on a schedule where I will deal with this once a week. So 4 days? So once these have been filled up, I will transfer it to my main character. He will also have 2 resource planets, but more importantly, 3 industry planets. And these industry planets will, of course, be dedicated to 1 for toxic metals and 1 for precious metals that will then be transferred to the final one where the enriched uranium will be produced. And once I have the enriched uranium, I'll put up corporation contracts and leave them, and people can accept them whenever they feel they need enriched uranium. So skill-wise, my 2 characters have been continued training. The Ardcode Technician is coming up on the final ones, so I can soon transfer it over and get the engineer going as well. And for my main character, I have been finishing off quite a bit of the electronics upgrades to have my deep space transferred fit up and running. I've been throwing in another corporation management because we are growing quite a bit. I'll be doing a little bit of evasive maneuvering and then finishing off the final ice processing. And the weekly goals for next week, I only have 2. More recruitment up in Caldari and finding new customers. Now that the mining operations are up and running, we have the mining foreman. I'm hoping that I can be a bit more hands-off with that one. And I've also finished the hierarchy, so I'll be having a bit more time to do more direct recruitment and direct sales. That'll be everything for this week. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you again in the next one.